We see this in social media on a regular basis, and it's something that Newsweek decided not to tell you about.
Representative Sheila Jackson-Lee has no idea what she's talking about.
You can meet a very, very stringent accuracy rate when it's important, when it matters, like in federal elections.
Just bear with me for a few moments here, folks. Doing a couple things in the background, getting everything set up. Please bear with me for just a few moments here. And we're going to be starting up. There we go. I'm just making sure that the live stream can be seen for everyone, because we want to make sure everyone who wants to see the show will see it. That's something that you don't often get from most of the internet overlords. They don't really like people to see what is going on. But we want you to know what's going on. We want you to have a conversation. We want you to be able to speak out about all the things that matter to you. Hello, and thank you for joining us. I am Michael Voss, your host here at No Soundbites Allowed. This is our Sunday live stream, Season 6. We've been doing it for 7 years, but it's Season 6, Episode number 7. I thank you for joining us. If you notice, you may see this, if you've been here before, you see that everything looks a little bit different. This week, we suffered 4 computer crashes. Absolute blue screen, everything crashed. And we had to recover last night. Had to factory reset the entire computer. We are still trying to get back all of the programs, all of the artwork and everything else. So if it sounds different, if it looks different, that's the reason why. Literally, we're still in the process of reloading and putting back everything that we had. And we lost about, 4 or 5 terabytes of data and programs. It's been a hell of a week. Dal is the first one to comment today, and Dal says, "Good morning, hello, everybody." What do you mean, good morning, Sunday morning, Nancy Pelosi? Oh, don't tell me about Nancy Pelosi. She's not relevant anymore, thank God. But we do have a lot of things that are relevant that we're going to be speaking about today, and I think it should be interesting, even as we have the evolving look of the show. Now, if it is the first time you're joining us, I want to thank you. And I welcome you to being part of the audience. We appreciate you. We do long-form political commentary here. And every Sunday, as you can see, we do the live stream where you and anyone you know can contact us from all around the world, because we believe in free speech. We believe in your right to be able to speak about the issues that matter, because that's what makes the difference. That's how we change things and improve things, by having the conversations, even if they're uncomfortable, even if they're unapproved. And that's getting harder to do day by day, especially as we see them trying to fortify the 2024 election. Not only am I saying it, you've heard the quartering come out this week and say the same thing we've been saying since October of 2023, that Google is looking to suppress. It's some of the news that came out today. Google came out with a new authorization. They are going to promote and support surface level, high quality content, information. In other words, they're going to push the mainstream approved message. But the thing that actually goes along with that is they're telling you that anything that isn't coming from CNN, MSNBC, ABC News, New York Times, everyone else is suppressed. Every other voice, every other bit of news will be pushed down and away from you. It will be obscured from your sight, because it might affect your vote in the 2024 election. You might not vote Democrat if you had all the news, if you had all the perspectives of what's going on and affecting us all across the world. And they don't want to take that risk. So they're going to fortify the election. Again, they're going to improve and promote the surface level, mind you, not deep dives into the story, not actually getting to the details, just the surface level, the headlines, the little short videos that are going to promote the approved message, high quality information. Who determines that? How often have we seen things where we've done live streams here during the lockdowns where we were out and actually the only news media that were actually live coverage of protests from doctors and nurses in New York State? Was that low level? Well, according to Google today, yes, that would be considered low level. It doesn't matter that it was live, that it was accurate reporting, people, doctors and nurses talking about their concerns. No, that doesn't matter. See, that's the big thing. And that's going to be really devastating going forward. Especially now that we don't have the distraction of football. You don't have your Sunday, Monday night football. You don't have the Super Bowl to look forward to. You're definitely not going to the movie theaters. I mean, are you really going to see Madam Web? Because no one is going to see Madam Web. And no one is going on to the streaming services to see the crap that they're trying to shove down your throat. No one wants to watch Echo. No one wants to see any of these movies where they're pushing the message, as stated by the critical drinker. The message is everything. It's in every single story. It is in every single product placement that they're putting out there. Every news story in every school. They're pushing this down your throat. DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, which means segregation. More and more authoritarian rule of the government and political organizations' ideology over your life. And that's what they're saying they're doing in the 2024 election. This cycle. They are shoving this down your throat, trying to not just convince you, but to demand you obey silently. No questions, no thought. Just do as we say or else. George Carlin called it. They want you just smart enough to run the machines, but too dumb to ask the questions. My God, he was prescient when he came up with that line. And that was a comedy joke, and it's true. And we see it today. Again, it's not just me saying this. This has hit the mainstream. When the Quartering, which people may not know him, he runs a rather large YouTube channel or entertainment channel on social media talking about pop culture. This is a guy who all he talks about are video games and movies and TV shows and movie stars. And if the Quartering, who does pop culture, is now recognizing and quoting me in saying that 2024 is being fortified just like they did in 2020 for that election, when the mainstream common person is talking about what we have been saying since October of 2023, guess what? It's happening. It's happening before your eyes. It is happening to you. And they just don't want you to talk about it. They don't want you to react. Well, on this channel, we want you to react. Graham has joined us as well. Hello, Graham. So, Dal says, wonder what metric they are using to judge content. He's not sure if it is or isn't government approved. They didn't really clarify that. They said it's, again, the quote is surface level, high quality information. What does that mean? It means whatever they want it to mean. It is just vague enough to say anything. And what I believe it will work out to, as it has been, because we've seen this on YouTube already. They already go to content creators and say, hey, you should be talking about The View. I've never seen The View in my life. I have no desire to see The View in my life. But yet, they want me to push stories from The View to you. They're giving me things like the Midas Touch DNC promoted news site, YouTube site, that came to the basically just popped onto the map with 10,000 subscribers one day in April of 2023 and have now surged since then. Completely astroturf, to quote Nancy Pelosi. This is a DNC, Democrat-run organization. It's being pushed into my feeds. It's being pushed on me to tell you about what the Democrats have approved as the message for this week. I'm sorry, I don't want to do that. So will it be government approved? I am sure of it. Major media approved? I am sure of it. Is it the actual truth you should be talking about? Maybe not. And we're going to go into it in the show in just a little bit. Graham says, it seems to me that our political system, voting institution reliability, legal stability, is slowly deteriorating and will inevitably, perhaps soon, require a reset. I don't think it's slowly happening, Graham. I think it's happening with great focus and great speed. We are quickly seeing everything fall apart. When criminals are led into the jail and an hour later let out, but yet innocent civilians are, regular people, they're held forever. There's a big divide here. We have the revolving door. We have people who are committing riots in the second degree in Rochester. We saw this happen, and thousands of people, actually 6,000 people in New York City, were arrested for rioting, destruction of property, trespassing, and those charges were just waived. Well, they're black, so it doesn't matter. They had the right color. They had the right political ideology. So we're not going to charge them with a crime. When you pick and choose the laws, look at illegal immigration. People are violating the United States law. They are breaking and entering into the United States. I know people want to say, but they're undocumented. Yes, that means they have no authorization. It means they're committing a crime. Okay, these illegal aliens, that's the legal term for them. They are illegal aliens. They make it sound nice. They try and soften it. Well, they're just migrants. No, they're not. No, they're invaders. They're coming into our country against our will in mass. They're invaders. But they're just trying to get a great life. Make your country better. Make your life there. If you want to come to America, wait in line like 2 million other people are doing right this second. Just because you want to jump the gate to come in doesn't mean we should let you in. But these are things you're not supposed to talk about. These are things you're just supposed to say, it's okay. Let the government take care of it. And when we're seeing that New York State, California, Illinois, Maryland, when we have these sanctuary states, and they are saying, well, it's okay. You broke the law, but we're going to not only are they not going to enforce the law that exists, they're going to reward these people. And let's get this straight. Let's be honest with each other. They are being rewarded. These illegal aliens come into America. They're going into New York as an example, and they get to be put up. They get to stay in a 3- and 4-star hotel, nicer than some of the houses of people who are watching this program. 3- and 4-star hotels. New York State is spending $60,000 per illegal alien. That's almost double, the annual income of most Americans. The average American makes $35,000 a year. We're spending almost twice as much of that on illegal aliens. Criminals. By definition, they are criminals. And we just absolved that and we gave them a reward. Go to a hotel. We'll take care of you. We're going to spend $35 a day on your food. We're going to give you $53 million worth of food. Cards to go out and buy your food. Paid for by taxpayers. The hotel paid for by taxpayers. We are literally seeing across in California, in Illinois, in Massachusetts, in New York, we are seeing mothers and children thrown out of shelters so that illegal aliens can stay there. We have seen school children kicked out of their schools so that illegal aliens can stay in the school. This is hurting our kids, their education, their social development, so that these criminals can have a better place to stay. This is not our requirement. We are hurting ourselves. So when you say, Graham, when you say it's falling apart, it is devastating. And they don't understand the consequences. We're going to talk about that. The Trump lawsuit. Trump just lost over $350 million was in his lawsuit that he has to pay New York State. And New York State suddenly, immediately, started to recognize something and said, oh my God, we just punished Trump without him breaking the law, without any victim, but because they wanted to affect the politics, because they wanted to fortify the 2024 election, they have just told every business in New York State that the government will shut them down any second, anytime they want to. You don't have to commit a crime. Doesn't matter if your business is successful or not. New York State just doesn't have to like you or your business, and they will shut you down. They will penalize you without ever breaking the law because they want to. That's an abuse of power. We will go into that a little bit later into the program. Graham goes on to say, when this happens, those who have invested in their local community will be well prepared. Well, we have always said, we've been telling you, our local community is everyone who watches this and shares this. For those who haven't been following the program before, let me make it clear to you. Since February of 2022, we have been telling you there is a global food shortage that is ongoing right now. 30% less food in the world today than in 2019. In the summer, fall of 2024, we are going to see it grow to 40% less food in the world than in 2019. This is critical. This is important. This is part of the reason why you're seeing inflation on food, why we're over 12% since 2021. The cost of food has gone up 12%. Why you're going to see that continue to rise. Why you're seeing about 15% of the items in the stores just aren't there. When you go into a store and you see sections of the store empty at any given moment, this is part of that global food shortage. And by the way, we just found out because of the Houthis, the Houthi terrorists out of Yemen, who are attacking the Red Sea, they're attacking the United States. They just struck an oil tanker, a British oil tanker, UK oil tanker, going to India. They just struck that. They're not stopping. They're not afraid. And they have been attacking all of the goods of everyone from the United States and all of our allies, civilian and military vessels. And they're not afraid of how many bombs have we dropped on them? Not effective, not working. The Biden administration is ineffective in what they are doing. That's why they keep firing missile after missile created by Iran against U.S. and our allies. And that means rice. A lot of people didn't notice this. 2 weeks ago, I believe it was on this live stream, we told everyone the price of rice is going to go up because ships can't get through the Red Sea. It's taking longer. Some of the ships are being struck by missiles. Some of them are being taken over by pirates. Some of them are just going the long way round, which means the price of rice around the world is going higher. Now, the answer to both of these things is not to panic. Don't go out to the store and do not panic. It is a fact that the price of food has gone up and will go higher. It is a fact that there is going to be a shortage of rice. But the way you deal with that is, one, you now have the information. Information we have been talking about since 2022 that the Biden administration will not tell you about, that your politicians will not discuss with you. It is a global fact, but they don't want to talk about it. So here's the answer. Every time you go to the store, buy 10% more of the things that you need. Buy 10% more of things like wheat and flour, rice, pasta, canned foods, things that will last longer. Buy 10% more. That's all it takes. Every time you go to the store, just 10% more. Because if I am right, well, the price of the food is going to go higher, the scarcity is going to increase, and you'll be able to feed yourself and your family and your friends. But what if I'm wrong? Oh my God, Mike, you were wrong. Well, the prices aren't going down, so you'll still save money. But, okay, there isn't scarcity. Let's assume there's a bumper crowd around the world. The Houthi rebels decide to let every single cargo ship carrying rice to go through without any delays going forward. And so the price of the scarcity isn't there. Fantastic. Now you have extra food. You can donate it to a veteran that's homeless. You can donate it to the homeless. We have soup kitchens and food charity across America. The lines have been growing since roughly 2018. We are seeing it massively since 2020. Just go, take a look. I know, I'm in the Bronx right now. A block away from me, 3 times a week, they have a food charity at a church. 1 block away from me. The line there is at least 30 to 50 people 3 times a week. And I know this is happening in Binghamton. I've seen it in Binghamton as well, twice a week. The line is at least 50 people long in the city of Binghamton, central New York, upstate New York. So we know the food crisis is here, and we know it is affecting people. So the question is, just buy 10% more. Don't break the bank, don't panic. Buy a little bit more, and over time, you're going to do better. You're going to save money, and you'll be able to better feed yourself and your family. And if you need to, you can donate, or if you want to, you can donate extra if you wish. You will not be hurt by doing what we say. But that's having the conversation. See, this is the stuff that they don't want to talk about as they fortify the 2024 election. Because if you suddenly realize, wait a minute, there's a global food shortage, there's a shortage of rice because of the Houthi terrorists right now, why didn't Joe Biden tell you about it? Why didn't Kamala Harris tell you about it? Why are they not having this conversation with the American people, saying the same thing that I am saying? Is it the perfect answer? No. But is it an answer? Yes. Is it a problem you need an answer for? Absolutely. Why won't they talk about it? For people who are watching this and you're left-leaning, you're a progressive out there, maybe you're a libertarian on the left side, fantastic. You think I'm wrong? Ask your congressman. Ask them if I'm wrong. Go to your state senator. Ask them if I am wrong. Go look it up. It is verifiable information. You can go to Wall Street Journal, you can go to Forbes, you can go to Investors Business Daily. You can check all the major sources. I already have. This is factual. But they don't want to tell you about it. Because if you heard that, you might say, well, then that means Bidenomics has failed. The Biden economic policies have failed. The fact that they have no plan to help the American people, forget about the rest of the world. They don't have a plan to help the American people deal with these shortages. Oh, why are you going to reelect them? Why are you going to allow them to continue to not inform you, to not fix the problem? I mean, maybe we don't know what the answer is for climate change. Maybe you don't know what the answer is for world peace. We're talking about something as simple as buy some extra food next time you go to the store. And they can't even tell you that. They are so disorganized, so inept, so inefficient that they can't even tell you buy 10% more food next time you go to the store because the prices are going higher, because the Houthi rebels, the terrorists attacking us in the Red Sea is making the price of food go up. Is that so hard to say? I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. But I think this is very important. Now I know we're going through a lot of information, and as I said, I'm still rebuilding the channel, the website here, our systems, our programs, so that you can see it better. So I thank you for bearing with me with that. Let's see. Dow says, that will take a resolve that currently is not being displayed in the population generally. That's true. It takes a resolve of our politicians to not worry about the next election and to actually address the problem as it exists right now. Don't try and play the race card. Don't play the gender identity card. No one cares, because everyone has to eat. Everyone needs food. No matter where you are in the world, no matter how much money you make or how little money you make, you need food. So this is a universal problem that everyone is facing, that is affecting everyone virtually equally. And they can give us a plan. Call it a temporary plan, call it imperfect, but it is a solution. It is an attempt at a solution. They could do that, but they're more worried about how they will look in that next election ad. That their political opponents will point out it was due to their inept policies that led us here. That they could have been telling us about this for years. We knew about it since February of 2022, that we have been on this channel saying this every Sunday for years. And if we can do it, one guy, just one guy, not the 10,000 people working at the New York Times, the 100,000 people working at CNN around the world, if one guy can figure that out, they know it too. So why didn't they tell you? Why didn't they make it a big deal? Why didn't they help feed your family and save you money? Because they wanted to protect politics, not you. You aren't the priority. It's harsh for some people to hear that for the first time because you've never heard that from CNN. You haven't heard that from ABC News because the Huffington Post doesn't want to tell you the truth, that they don't care about you. They care about the power they have and they want to maintain it. Their political ideology is more important than you and your life and your family. But that is why they fortify elections. That's why they fortified the 2020 election. As Time magazine boldly and happily told us that there was a shadow cabal of businesses, social media giants, and political organizations working to manipulate you. And they were proud of it. And they're doing it again in front of your face. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But I think this is important. I think this is critical. And by the way, if you disagree, I'm happy to hear that. That's what this channel is about. That's why we have the comments there. And you can see Dal and Graham are commenting, and you're more than welcome to disagree with me. If you're on the left, you're a progressive, a socialist. If you're libertarian, conservative, if you think, I don't care what your political ideology is, if you disagree and you think, Mike, you didn't realize, here's this bit of data. Did you know that? Let's have that conversation. Mike, here's the data you're presenting. Maybe there's another conclusion. Maybe the Houthi terrorists blocking up the Red Sea, slowing down all the consumer goods, raising the price of everything, inflating prices, and restricting food across the world. Maybe you think that's not as bad as I'm saying it is. Fantastic. Let's have that conversation. Tell me, how is it not that bad for places like Mogadishu, like Mozambique, like Chad, like Peru, like America, the United Kingdom, Thailand? How is it not bad for them? Please tell me how that isn't going to affect them negatively, that it's all just politics. Because if that's what you believe, I want to hear why. If I'm wrong, I'm happy to admit I'm wrong. Let's have that conversation. Because maybe you have a solution that I haven't thought of. I guarantee you, you might have a solution that absolutely the Biden administration, they absolutely aren't even thinking about it. Because they're only worried about getting through the next election. They want to win the next election. That's it. That's their big goal. And it doesn't matter what it takes to do that. They will lie and hide information from you on a regular basis. But let me go forward. I know we're talking about a lot here. So far we've been talking about the global food crisis, something no one's really talked to you about. And we're talking about the impact of a focus on the next election, which we are seeing in our politics right now, and how it's affecting people around the world, in particular in the United States, but around the world. We're talking about illegal immigration. The more that they promote violating our laws, the more people will violate our laws. If the law doesn't apply, no law applies. That's why you see at 42nd Street, what did we see? Gangs of illegal aliens who have been stealing, shoplifting day after day from business after business across America. Why? Because the laws don't apply. They weren't arrested for being illegal aliens. Everyone knows they're illegal aliens. New York State will not turn them in. They will not actually execute the law. So these guys get to steal more and more. Some of them have been arrested. We saw with the 11 people who beat up on police officers. We know that at least 6 of them have had multiple arrests for shoplifting, for robbery. And we know this, and they are continuing to do it. They didn't stop. They got arrested, turned around, came back out because no bail. There is no bail, and let them back out. And they went back to doing the same crime. So we know the system has failed. And if the laws do not apply, if one law isn't being enforced, what law is? If you're rewarding people by putting them into hotels, giving them $60,000 per person, you're breaking all of the rules to accommodate them. Why wouldn't they do more of it? Why wouldn't they have their friends and their family? I can't blame them, these illegal aliens. I can't blame them for saying, hey, Mom, come to America. I know you're living in a dirt shack right now. Come to America. You're going to take care of your health care. They're going to put you in a hotel. They're going to give you food. They're going to give you money. Come to America right now. Come and get up here as fast as you can. Bring our brothers and sisters with us. Bring up the whole family. Why would you not say that? You love your family. The illegals love their family. And if we're giving it all away, why wouldn't they say, come and take it? I can't blame them for that. But I know these are unpleasant conversations. These are conversations that the left-leaning news media, the political ideologues, do not want to have. They don't want you to think about this. Again, if there's anyone on the left, if there is any left politician, if there is any elected official on the left of any state, at local, state, or federal level that would like to tell me, Mike, you just don't understand, you've got it wrong, let's have that conversation right now, live. Let's do it. I will be happy to stand up and make my voice clear, and we'll go over every detail. I'll give them as much time as they need. I'm not restricted to a minute and a half on mainstream news media. I'm not limited to a 15-minute interview because commercials. We can talk as long as they need to show me how I'm wrong. And it's funny, I've been doing this 18 years. Virtually none of the Democrats, virtually none of the politicians will come on and actually do that. They won't do it because they know they're wrong. Okay, so we're talking about that, but let's move forward a little bit. I know I got a little bit distracted today, a little bit of a diatribe, a little bit of me losing my mind here. And by the way, you can go on to Rumble. We're live on Rumble as well. Should be on Twitter, DLive. I'm always happy to see everyone on all the channels, and I do check for the comments back and forth. So I am looking to hear what you have to say on all of the formats. But let's move forward a little bit, and let's talk about, well, I was talking about the Houthi rebels, and I was telling you about they're still attacking. You know, as much as you've heard the Biden-Harris administration say, they've got this under control, they're going to shut them down, how dare they attack us? Let's remember, the Houthi rebels, which is Iran, let's be honest, it's Iran. These are all Iran-backed terrorist puppets. They get their missiles from Iran, they get their money from Iran, they get their training from Iran. They get their orders from Iran. This is Iran. So Iran they have been attacking Israel and the United States since October 7th. Since October 7th, Iran came out and told the Biden-Harris administration, don't do anything or else. Well, we have Americans who died because of Hamas, 34 of them. We have Americans who were captured, 22, were taken hostage, sexually abused, and tortured and used as a human shield. Even to this day, over 4 months later, they're still held as hostages, still being tortured, still being sexually abused by Hamas, which is Iran. So, yeah, the Biden administration did the bare minimum they shot down a bunch of rockets and drones that were going to strike Israel, hit the civilian population, being fired by Hezbollah and the Houthi rebels. And so Iran said, fine, attack America. And so we have seen for 4 months now that Hezbollah has been attacking American troops in Iraq, in Syria, and most recently in Jordan. The Houthi rebels, the Houthi terrorists, they keep calling them rebels. They're terrorists. They are internationally recognized terrorists. The Houthi terrorists out of Yemen have been attacking American military and civilian ships, tankers of oil and food for 4 months. This isn't new. The only thing that's new is the Biden administration finally had to respond. See, they're not afraid because Biden takes forever to make a decision. He was looking at the poll numbers when people started paying attention to the way it's affecting our economy, the way it's affecting our life. Only then did Biden decide that he was going to take action, and his action has failed. For more than a month, he has been bombing Yemen, supposedly bombing the Houthi terrorists, and they keep firing missiles. They keep firing drones. They keep attacking the United States and our allies. It's a failure. The strongest military in the world, the United States military, can't take out a couple of radar sites? Are we serious? Seriously. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And again, this is coming from the Voice of America telling us about this. We also see this from the Hindustan Times, that the Houthis are attacking our ships still. Still attacking. And they're saying it's Russia to India. Well, no, that India ship, that was actually British. That was a British ship going to India with supplies going to Russia. See, that's the big difference there. This was a British ship, not an Indian one. But it sounds worse, and it wakes people up when we say, oh, they're targeting the United States and our closest allies. They're attacking Israelis and the British and the Japanese. They're attacking America's closest allies. Oh, but then that might make you vote different, wouldn't it? To know that Joe Biden failed so bad that not only is America, but our allies are being affected. And when the news comes out, and it always does, that this is because of Biden ineptitude, well, we're going to get pressure from our allies. We're going to have pressure from the United Kingdom, because when the public there finds out, oh, Biden hasn't done anything, he's the reason why this is happening, why they're now having to pay more for rice, why their goods are more expensive, why they're getting more inflation, is because of Biden. He's going to get international pressure. And he doesn't want that during an election year. So they're trying to delay it as long as possible. They're trying to hide it from you, obscure it a bit. But it's happening. You don't have to believe me. Again, this is from the Voices of America. This is from the Hindustan Times. What is this? This is from WION. Well, we're going to get to that in 1 second. For those who don't know, we usually start the show with either breaking news and or we go to the international news to explain how that is affecting your life today. And the fact that Joe Biden is failing to address and have a plan to deal with Iran is hurting you. It is open season on American citizens and Americans around the world. He has abandoned 30,000 Americans. Let me say it again. 30,000 Americans. Remember the lie he told you on September 1st of 2021 that only 100 Americans were abandoned in Afghanistan? And now, that's bad enough that he abandoned any Americans that he didn't have to abandon. He could have got them home. But the real number wasn't 100. Because over 1,000 people have come back home without the United States government, without Joe Biden's help. Over 1,000 have come back home. So there's at least, let's go by the minimum numbers. That means there was at least 1,000 when he told us there was 100. And we know since that time there's at least 5,000 Americans. We know that right now, according to Antony Blinken, back in March of 2023, that there are some 200 Americans that are being held by ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and the Taliban and being tortured in Afghanistan right now. 200! Joe Biden lied to you. And then he stopped talking about it. And the news media stopped talking about it. Again, you don't have to believe me. Ask your local congressman or congresswoman. Ask them how many Americans were left in Afghanistan. What's the official number? What have we done to get them back? How many Americans have come back from Afghanistan since September 1st of 2021, when Joe Biden told you there was only 100? Because if they're at all honest, if you look at any of the international news, you will confirm he lied. And they have no plan. 10,000 Americans were abandoned in the Ukraine. 10,000. When Joe Biden went on to NBC and did an interview with Lester Holt, and he told the world that he wouldn't lift a finger to get those women, those children, those individuals back home. Those civilians were on their own. Even as the war was starting, they had to figure it out for themselves. 10,000 Americans, including children, were thrown to the wayside. You don't believe me? Look at the Lester Holt interview. We've covered it on this channel before. Type in Lester Holt, NBC. You'll see it for yourself. And then there's last year, the Sudan. 15,000 Americans, the last week of April 30th, we knew 15,000 Americans were abandoned in the Sudan because ISIS and Al-Qaeda, after being released from Afghanistan, when Joe handed over the keys, they were released. They went to Africa. They went to the Sudan. They started a civil war. And Joe Biden ran away again. And he left 15,000 Americans behind. 15,000. That is a small city in the United States. Left them to figure it out for themselves, to find some way to get home. He picked up 100 members of the embassy and flew them away and said, we're out of there. And the news media stopped talking about the Sudan and the Americans and the British that were abandoned there on May 3rd of 2023. They haven't talked about it since. Those Americans didn't come home. They're still lost somewhere in Africa. They're still being attacked. But you just don't hear about it anymore. This is not helping the world to become more safe. And this is the reason why the Houthi rebels, Hezbollah and Hamas, think it's it's open season. We can attack Americans anywhere in the world because Joe Biden won't do anything. Because Joe Biden's worried about how you might vote in the next election. Because he will look weak. He is weak. But he will look weak to voters, and then he might lose. And because of that, he doesn't want you to notice. And then that means it's open season for them. They can get away with months upon months. Again, they have been attacking the United States for 4 months in a row before Joe Biden ever even mentioned that there was a problem. Every international news agency already knew and were reporting that Americans were being attacked. American bases were being attacked for months. But they didn't want to talk about that. It's kind of like they don't want to talk about the hostages, the American hostages, the Israeli, the Nepalese, the British hostages were being sexually abused. It took 2.5 months for MSNBC and the New York Times, these bastions of women's rights, to even mention once, oh, by the way, women are being sexually abused by Hamas. They were so busy trying to convince you Hamas are the good guys and that they're being oppressed. These terrorists, this internationally recognized terrorist organization that just attacked children and killed them, innocent children, babies, they're so busy trying to tell you that those are the good guys that they forgot to mention, oh yeah, by the way, Hamas is sexually abusing women. And they stopped talking about it. They said that in December, and they stopped talking about it. After the second week of December, they stopped mentioning that Hamas is sexually torturing the hostages. Gee, I wonder why. I think it's kind of hard for the Democratic Socialists of America, for Harvard University, University of Pennsylvania, for these colleges to run around and say, you've got to support Hamas. They're torturing women right now. They're sexually abusing women right now. So why don't you donate money and protest? Yeah, it's a little bit hard to sell that one, isn't it? So they stopped talking about it. Let me see. Dow says, it's going to get super ugly. The news of these failures are mounting up so exponentially there isn't a curtain tall enough to hide behind it. Yes, but no. Yes, but no. Because again, you're not hearing about this. The attacks again, I'll go back to what I was saying about in the Red Sea. You know, the news about the Red Sea. Most people are not reading the Hindustan Times. Most Americans do not read the Voice of America. Most Americans don't hear about this. They're hearing that, oh, well, you know, America attacked the Houthi rebels. Yay! And full stop. But you're not hearing in that same news report from those same left-leaning news channels, oh, by the way, and the amount of rice that's coming into the world is being shut down. The cost of goods are going up. Inflation is happening because of the response. Because the Houthis didn't stop. We didn't hit them. Yeah, we flew the plane, we dropped the bombs, and we missed them. How do we know we missed them? They're still attacking. They're still attacking at full force. So there's a problem. And I know that's unpleasant news. And again, you might not vote Democrat because of it. And that's why they don't want to talk about it. At least that's the understanding I have. Again, if there is any politician in America that thinks I am misunderstanding this, if they have evidence that doesn't exist anywhere else in the world, I'll be happy to look at it. I'll be happy to talk about it. Prove me wrong. It's really easy. Show me the evidence. I'm showing my evidence. I'm showing evidence from credible international sources. Let me go on. So, it's not just that we have what's happening in the Red Sea, which is affecting food, which is affecting the cost of goods, and it's destabilizing peace in the world. No, it's also the fact that we know that, again, those American hostages held by Hamas, they're not being released. And we're starting to hear that Hamas is saying, well, the hostages are struggling to survive. You're using them as human shields. It's your fault, Hamas. It is Hamas's fault. It's no one's fault. Oh, the hostage might die. Well, then why do you have the hostage in the first place? They wouldn't die if you didn't have them as a hostage. If you weren't torturing them and sexually abusing them, they wouldn't be in danger. No, it's the Hamas. See, they're trying to turn this around. They're trying to make you feel like, oh my God, everyone else is the bad guy. Hamas, they're the good guys. Because they took civilians hostage, tortured them, and sexually abused them to the point that they are dying. Dying in that hostage captivity. And so because those hostages are dying, now you have to give in. You have to do what Hamas wants. You have to give them more money so they can buy more weapons. You have to give them more food so they can feed their soldiers. You have to give them electricity so that they can see and plan their next attack. You have to give them what they want, or the hostages that they captured, that they tortured, will die. This isn't a consequence of someone else. This is because the root of the problem is Hamas. It is what they have done. And I know Harvard doesn't want to talk about this. Cornell University doesn't want to talk about this. The colleges want to hide this. They're like, oh my God, you just don't understand. It's about oppression. No, it's not. No, it's really not. Because oppression didn't make Hamas sexually torture women that they took as hostages as they killed babies. Is someone going to tell me, what? Are you really going to justify the killing of babies, the sexual torture of women? Seriously, if you're supporting Hamas, if you are pro-Palestine, which doesn't exist, and we're going to get to, they're trying to make it exist, but it doesn't exist. It has never existed. There is no Palestine. But if you're pro-Palestine, you are in fact pro-Hamas. You are pro-terrorism. Because the money doesn't go to the nation of, when you say, the United States has to donate more humanitarian aid, just like we did under Joe Biden in 2021 when he said, those Houthi terrorists, they're now rebels. They're not terrorists. Trump said they were terrorists. They're not terrorists. They're just misunderstood. They're rebels. And we need to give them humanitarian aid. And he did. Hundreds of millions of dollars. And they are, in fact, terrorists. And they used those hundreds of millions of dollars to attack America and American people. I don't know. Maybe it's me. But when I look at this and I say, why is no one talking about the American hostages? I've been talking about this every week since October 7th. We were on, October 8th, we were live talking about this, and my opinion then is the same as today. Get the American hostages home. All of them. Get them home alive, get them alone healthy. Send a message to Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and the rest of the world that if you dare to attack American civilians, and if you dare to take them hostage, and if you dare to torture and sexually abuse them, though hell will come down upon your head. That we will use the full strength and might of the United States government against you. We are the power of the world. The world is terrified of a unified America that decides we're going to take action. We change the map of the world when we decide to actually act as one. Why aren't we doing this? Why are we letting them get away with this? Ask your congressman, ask your elected officials. Why are we letting them get away with this? I don't know. Maybe it's me. Again, could just be me. I don't know. By the way, I'm pretty sure that YouTube has pretty much silenced us here. Facebook, same thing. They don't like us when we're talking about this and pointing out this is the result of failed policies of the Biden-Harris administration. This is what happened when the chickens come home to roost. This is what we get when we have a failed policy whose only plan, the international policy, the domestic policy of the Biden-Harris administration is get reelected. And when that's your plan, when that's their system, this is what we get. This is what happens. This is what happens when we have a weak leader in the world. And you may say to me, well, Mike, you just don't get it. I mean, look, talking about the Hindustan Times, let's go back to, right now they're saying, hey, look, the IRGC, the Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps, the commander, he told Hezbollah, he told the Houthis, and he told Hamas, stop fighting America, stop attacking America. He said that. And they're attacking as we speak. Sorry. Yeah, they're still attacking. So, the answer from Iran is, oh my God, no, see, we told them to stop. No, you didn't. They still attacked us in Jordan. They still attacked us in Syria. They're still attacking us in Iraq. They're still attacking us around the world. Just because you said, oh, see, here's an article. We said stop. Wink, wink. They crossed their fingers. They winked. Said, oh, yeah, stop. Yeah, we're going to stop. And they kept doing it. It's really terrifying to me, folks. Now, I know there are a bunch of people who are going to say, but Mike, this is Israel's fault. Because Israel's obviously the bigger bad guy. I don't think that's true. I think that's a lie. I think that's the excuse. And Hamas is begging you to believe that. That's why they're using that excuse. See, Israel's the bad guy. Israel is the reason why Hamas has to have hostages, and those hostages are dying because of Israel. No. Israel didn't make you go and get hostages. Israel didn't make you torture women. Israel didn't make you kill babies. They did that on their own. That was their choice. They made that choice. That was a conscious effort that they did. So don't tell me that suddenly they're innocent good guys. They're not. But Israel right now is dealing with the fact that so many countries are trying to say, well, you know what? The solution is we'll have a two-state government. That's not a solution. Let me address that. Let me say this. There is no two-state solution for Hamas. Doesn't exist. Anyone who tells you that there is a two-state solution for Hamas is lying to you. Let's have that conversation right now, because they're lying to you. There is no two-state solution. I understand a bunch of countries are saying it. I know that Democrats are saying it. I know that the Democratic Socialists of America, Harvard University, Cornell, and Binghamton University, that they're all pushing and saying, well, the answer is a two-state solution. No, it's not. Because Hamas and Iran and Hezbollah and the Houthis have all said for decades they want to eliminate Israel and the United States. That they want to kill every Israeli person and American, period. Doesn't matter about their political affiliation. Doesn't matter about their religion. The fact that they exist is all they need. They want to commit genocide. Hamas said that on October 8th, that they want to commit genocide, that they will continue to fight until they have eliminated every Israeli person on the face of the earth. That is the answer. You can't have a two-state solution if that is your mindset. And I don't care how many countries, I don't care if it's Biden and every Democrat and the Democratic Socialists of America, the progressive leaders of tomorrow, Harvard and every other college, all come together and say, you've got to have a two-state. That will not save anyone's life. That is not the solution. Dow says, a two-state solution is apartheid. My, how they've changed in what they support, eh? Well, let's think about this for a second, folks. Because right now, Palestinians are having their best life. Well, not this second, not with the bombs dropping on their head, but Palestine, the Palestinian people, are living the best lives they can because of Israel. The Israelis have lifted up the quality of life for the Palestinian people because no other Middle Eastern country wants them. They all hate them. Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Iran, none of them want the Palestinian people. They never have wanted the Palestinian people. Let's be very clear about that. And they get treated horrendously in each of those countries. But in Israel, you actually have a chance to live a life. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. I'm going to tell you it's perfect. But it's better than trying to be a Palestinian in Egypt, a Palestinian in Jordan or Lebanon or Syria. That's why they're in Gaza and the West Bank. Because it's the best place for them. That's where they have the most freedom, the most opportunity, the most liberty. And even with that, the Hamas, which was duly elected a terrorist organization, has said they want to genocide Israel. You cannot have peace with someone who wants to genocide you. You can't. It doesn't work. You're looking at two antithetical ways of life. One person saying, I'm going to kill you. The other one says, I want to live peacefully with you. You cannot live peacefully with someone who wants to kill you, down to every single man, woman, and baby. There is no peace there, because they will continue. Hamas has already said that. We have heard that from Hezbollah. We have heard that from the Houthis. We have heard that from Iran, that they will continue to fight until Israel doesn't exist, until the Israeli people no longer exist, until the American people no longer exist. They don't care about your political affiliation. In fact, that will probably get you killed faster. Let's think about that. Because they don't believe in they don't believe in gay rights. They don't believe in the LGBTQAI+. They don't believe in the alphabet. They don't believe in that. Matter of fact, they'll kill you. They throw gays off of buildings and set them on fire. They don't believe in women's rights. They poison young girls for going to school to learn how to read and write. They don't let women drive or work. That's what you see from Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthi rebels. They don't believe in any of that. And if you believe in that, they want to kill you. And you think that giving them a state is going to make them suddenly change their mind? That suddenly they're going to give up? Seriously, do people on the left, do the progressive mindset really believe that if we suddenly declare that there's a state of Palestine, it exists now, okay, and now they're going to stop? They suddenly, because they have a state, they no longer want to kill Israel? That didn't change. Their mindset, their religion didn't change. Just because they have a state, all that means is they have extra money. By creating a nation of Palestine, what you have done is open the door to give them more money, more humanitarian aid, more directly. You can more directly fund Hamas. That's what they're doing. If you create a nation of Palestine, countries will be able to directly fund the global terrorist organization Hamas easily. Is there anyone who disagrees with me on that? Is there anyone who thinks, no, Mike, if Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis, Iran, get to have another nation, they're going to stop? Is there any proof, any indication of that anywhere in the world? Have you ever heard Hamas say, oh, by the way, we will stop genociding you if we have a state? Has anyone ever seen that? It written anywhere? Anywhere? Because the answer is no, it hasn't. Okay, Graham has a couple of comments here, so let me answer that. And I believe YouTube is playing games with the comments, so I'm looking at YouTube Rumble as well. And I think Facebook isn't too happy with me today either. So Graham asks, Michael, are you familiar with Ben Rhodes, the political appointee under Obama? Yes, I am familiar. A few years ago, he listened to a college professor talk about Ben Rhodes' essay on the pandemic being the end of 9/11 era and the beginning of a new era. Well, yes, we basically have started a new phase of government and government thinking. We have actually gone back into McCarthyism. We are in the age of accusation equals guilt. That's my opinion. Where it doesn't matter if you make or break a law. Were you accused of being guilty by political elites? And if the political elites, especially the progressive political elites, if they have said, we feel you are guilty, then you will be guilty. You will be treated guiltily. You will be punished as if you had committed a crime, even when you didn't. We're going to go into that when we talk about Trump in just a little bit in New York State. And also, of course, this applies to Trump, the Colorado ballot, and what's happened with the Supreme Court. We were talking about that last week. The answer is, you're guilty because they felt like you're guilty. They don't like you. So you must be guilty to justify their feelings, and so you will be punished. That's McCarthyism. McCarthy was running around, oh, you must be a Russian, you must be a communist, because they're afraid of communists. So you have to be one. And to justify that, you're going to admit it. We're going to punish you. You won't be able to go to work. You won't be able to feed your family. You won't be able to get electricity or any services. No one will deal with you because we've told them that you're a communist. Because we feel like you act like a communist. Because you look like a communist. Because you could be a communist. So you're getting all the penalties, even though you never committed a crime. Because there's nothing in America there's nothing in law that says you can't have. There is an American Communist Party. Senator Blumenthal out of Connecticut actually got a donation and an award from the Communist Party of the United States. He actually went to their event and thanked them in person for the donation and gave a speech at the Communist Party of the United States. It's not illegal. It's not a crime. And yet we were punishing people. It's the same thing we're seeing right now. This is the second wave of McCarthyism in the United States. Most people don't know that. It's 1950s. It's the same thing happening now. So let me go on. Graham goes on. One assertion I heard was that Osama bin Laden's terrorism should not have been surprising, given that the United States' reprehensible involvement in Saudi Arabia, namely bolstering the cruel, oppressive Saudi regime. Okay, so that's just someone trying to excuse the terrorism of Al-Qaeda and ISIS and these terrorist organizations. They're looking for an excuse to say, see, it's not our fault. They had to be terrorists. No, they didn't. They didn't have to do that. By the way, Osama bin Laden was a billionaire, stupidly rich, part of the family, the Saudi family. If he wanted to change, he had the political access to make changes. If he wanted to make changes, he didn't have to be a terrorist. He could have. He had political influence in his country and around the world. He could have leveraged that. He didn't have to be a terrorist. He didn't have to go and kill babies and women because moms wanted to read. But let me go on. Graham goes on to say, this idea is met with fertile intellectual ground in America because we abhor tyrannical injustice and are constantly cheering for the underdog. That's not correct. That's not correct. Because Hamas is tyrannical. So is Hezbollah. So is the Houthis. There have been many tyrannical leaders that the United States has supported because there's a greater evil in the world. But we have to understand that's not really the nature of it. What we have been told is that under the new definition of racism, which had to be changed, which is about power, not about color of skin, not about ideology. No, it's about power. And so this new paradigm, this new shift, was about political ideology. And in that ground of ideology, everything else has been shaped. That's why you see the pro-Palestine protests at colleges, where they have been selling this idea to these kids for decades. It's terrifying. You know, maybe. Now, if someone says, Mike, well, I don't agree with that, okay, I'm willing to hear you. But I believe the proof is in the pudding. We see the evidence here. It's not about Osama bin Laden. He had opportunity. He didn't have to be a terrorist. He chose to be. Hamas didn't have to be terrorists. They chose to be. Even after declaring themselves as terrorists, after all the decades of terrorist actions, they didn't have to go. On October 7th, 2023, they didn't have to walk into towns and kill everyone. They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to kill 34 Americans. They didn't have to capture 22 Americans, 17 British, over 14 Thai citizens. They didn't have to do that. They chose to do that. They wanted to do that. They knew what the response was going to be. I mean, it's like when they bombed, 9/11. When we had 9/11, Twin Towers went down, you attacked the Pentagon. What, you thought America wasn't going to respond? Of course we were. And we were going to go apeshit on you. Of course we were. And everyone knew it. They just thought they could survive it. Same thing with what we see with Hamas. They knew Israel was going to go ballistic. They knew that this was their 9/11. They knew that the Israeli government was going to go all out against them. They knew it. They just thought that they could withstand the political pressure, that they could convince enough Americans, enough progressives, enough colleges, that they could shift the left-leaning news media to support them enough that they would get away. And it's starting to work. It is starting to work because now we are hearing countries around the world say, oh, we'll just give them a nation state. We will create a nation. We will reward, this is what they're looking to do. They will reward the terrorism of Hamas by creating a nation against the will of Israel. Out of the blue, they're just going to take the land and say, hey, that is now Palestine. And they're just going to create it. That's a reward. Think about that, folks. When they create the nation, that means they can send international humanitarian aid. That they can make military contracts and treaties with that country. You can't do that for an organization. That doesn't have any weight. But once they become a nation, then nations can make treaties with them so that no one could ever attack them again. And that they can get military support. That they can get humanitarian aid to build up a military, to get military weapons. This is a long-term bonus for Hamas, who have as part of their charter, which would, if they become a nation, part of their constitution would be the genocide of a group of people based on their religion alone. This is supporting terrorism. To create a two-state solution is to create is to support terrorism. If you support the two-state solution, you support terrorism. I truly believe that. I know there are people who are going to say, Mike, but I don't agree with you. I think you're wrong. I think that's too harsh. No, I truly believe. If you believe in the two-state solution, you believe in terrorism. You believe in supporting terrorism. You're not pro-Palestine, you're pro-Hamas, which is pro-terror. Truly. And I don't see how there's a difference. Because I don't think people are thinking about it. Because the mainstream news media isn't talking about it. They're not saying, and then once they become a state, then they get humanitarian aid. And we know that they take the humanitarian aid. We have seen this. It's been reported over the last 4 months and decades before that Hamas will take the food, the water, the electricity. They will take it and use it to commit more acts of war, to build up their army, not feed their people. They're going to only do that even more if they become a nation. I don't know. Is there anyone... Hang on, let me ask this question. Does anyone support... Okay, so is there anyone who supports Hamas Palestine as a nation? And if so, why? It's real simple. If so, if you do, why? It's something that I would love to see comments on this. I would love to see, if you're watching the show after the live stream, leave it in the comments. Tell me why. If you're watching it live, hey, come on, tell me. Why would anyone support this? I do not understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me. Because it's not going to create peace. This doesn't make them more peaceful. It doesn't help the world. Just doesn't. Maybe it's me. Maybe I could get it wrong. If I'm getting it wrong, please explain to me why. Where are all the geniuses over at Harvard and MIT, at University of, Cornell University and Binghamton University? Where are these geniuses? Where's their answer to this? Because they won't answer this. They won't address this. You will not hear this in the nightly news. They're never going to tell you, oh, by the way, but Hamas is not going to get rid of the statement, their core purpose of committing genocide against anyone who's Jewish. Okay. It's evil. It's evil, folks. It is just evil. All right, we've been talking a bunch about the international. In particular, talking about Hamas, talking about our hostages, talking about the global food crisis. I think these are important issues. I don't think it's being talked about enough. Nobody's talking about it. Again, if you think I am wrong about these things, ask your congressman. Go reach out to them. Demand that they give you an answer. Where are the 30,000 Americans? Where are they in Afghanistan, Ukraine, Sudan? Where are those Americans? What have your congressman, what has your member of Congress done to get those 30,000 Americans back home? What has your congressman, your senator, done to get the hostages that are being sexually abused and tortured in Gaza right now? What have you done to get them home? And I can tell you, 99, almost every, I think there's only about 4 members of Congress that can actually answer that and say they actually did something. 4. There are 537 members of Congress. 4 of them, not even 1%, can actually point to something that they did that tried to help those 30,000 Americans. That's terrifying. I'd like to be wrong on that. I wish I were wrong on that. I would hope someone could show me the proof that it's not just less than 1% of Congress actually trying to get Americans that have been abandoned by the Biden-Harris administration back home. And again, I'm not asking Republican, Libertarian, Conservative. I don't care what party they're in. I want those Americans home. I want any party that can to get them home. And I don't see evidence of it. And they don't want to talk about it. They do not want you to have a conversation about this. Okay. Let me see. One second. We've got comments here. Graham says, by the way, folks, I know there's more than just Graham and Dow that are watching this. I know that YouTube, Facebook, the social media giants don't like this because I started talking about fortifying the 2024 election, and that's a no-no. That's a great way to get your website shut down, to get suppressed, but I know there's more people out there with comments. I'm happy to hear you guys. Whether you agree or disagree, I'm happy to hear it. Graham says, from the limited information that he has heard about the Palestinians, a lot of those people lived in the region for a long time. They don't want to leave what they view as their homeland. They are unsatisfied with living under the Israeli government. Okay, one, they're living there a long time, kind of, sort of. That's because they were kicked out of everywhere else. If you look at the Middle East history, the people who are Palestinians were rejected from every other place. They lost every other battle, and so that was the only place they had left to go to. That doesn't make them bad people. It makes them losers. They lost the wars. That's why they didn't have they don't have a place like Egypt or Jordan to call their own. They're the losers. That's why they have Gaza. And yes, I'm sure that they've lived there. Their grandparents have lived there. Can't really go to great-grandparents. Basically, 3-4 generations have been living there. Fantastic. I'm not saying that they should move. That doesn't mean that they get to have a nation. There's a big difference. They don't have to move, but they don't get a nation. because it is bigger than, oh, but I've got this house that we've had since my grandfather. Fantastic. But your government wants to genocide people. What are we weighing here? See, that's the thing, Graham. So again, I don't necessarily think that the people of Palestine are bad people, but they elected a government that is a bad government, that is a terrorist government, that actively engages in terrorism based on genocide. So with that, I want to keep my house that my granddad had. I voted in a government and maintain a government that commits acts of terror around the world. Sorry, I don't care about your grandfather's house anymore. I just don't. It's not materially as important. Graham goes on to say, I think most humans want a minimum level of freedom, autonomy, and security that comes with a representative that is responsive to the needs of the people. Actually, Graham, Palestinians get more freedom, autonomy, and security in Gaza and the West Bank than they get anywhere else in the Middle East. And there is no guarantee, and because it is not part of the focus of Hamas, that they are going to get it. Creating a nation of Palestine does not guarantee that the people of Palestine will have any more freedom or representation than they have right now, because the focus of the government is Hamas, is terrorism, is genocide. It is not focused on taking care of the people. It's not focused on feeding them, giving them electricity, serving their needs, having them represented. It has nothing to do with any of that. Their focus is genocide. So your argument, I understand it, it doesn't apply, because that's not what they want. And there is no guarantee that they will ever get more than what they are getting right now. Now, Dow goes on to, well, there's always the game of historical claims. Who has more legitimacy? Do the Palestinians, they can go back a couple hundred, maybe decades. The Israelis can go back millennia. Who has the right to that land? It gets complicated with that. I don't even want to play the game of, who is the first nation to be there? Because that's not really relevant. What is relevant is I'm looking at the government that they have put in place and what are the goals of that government, which is terrorism. That's immutable. No one can dispute that. So everything else is dressing, trying to cover up the horrible core, which is terrorism and genocide. You can't escape that. That is the core. That is the problem. If you got rid of the genocide and terrorism of Hamas, if that organization did not exist, if the Palestinian people tore down Hamas, removed it, kicked it out of their lives, we'd have an entirely different conversation. But they don't. They don't get rid of Hamas. They don't get rid of Hezbollah. They don't get rid of the Houthis. They haven't released the hostages. How am I supposed to have sympathy and believe that if we create a state of Palestine with Hamas, the global terrorists, in charge, and they won't give us our hostages back, they won't give us our people back, then why should I trust them? What faith do I have in anything they have to say? What is it that they have done that should give me trust in their way of life, in anything they've said? Because everything they have said, they have been consistent. I'll give them this. Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, Iran, they have been very consistent. They've said they want to kill Americans, they want to kill Israelis, and they have. They've said that if you believe in women driving cars and learning to read, they will kill you. They have been consistent in that. They have consistently poisoned their own children for learning to read, the little girls. They've been consistent in that. They have been consistent in trying to kill people because of their religious background. They've been consistent on that. The thing they haven't been consistent on, any mention of peace whatsoever. So why should I trust them? Why should anyone trust them? Graham says, ultimately, I think the Palestinians who are swept away in the current diaspora will have no choice but embrace the challenging task of finding a new home. Not my problem. Don't care. We know not the day nor the hour when each of us will lose everything. I've lost everything a couple of times. Yeah, you never know when it's going to happen. That's true. Whether it's our home, our family, our community, or our own life. Yes, that's true. We don't know these things. We don't know these things. That's why we try to make the best decisions we can with the time we have, the information that we have. I agree with you, Graham. The best decision isn't, let me genocide someone because of their religion. Let me genocide someone because they may be gay, or because it's a woman and she knows how to read. That's not a reason. That's not a reasonable way to live your life. I don't agree with that. I do not accept that. Therefore, I do not support Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, or Iran. I cannot accept that. I think that is barbaric, it is evil, it is destructive. I can't support them. And I don't know why anyone else would. And people who say, well, if we support them, they'll change. No, they won't. They've had decades upon decades to change. They don't want to change. They want to kill anyone who isn't exactly like they are. And that's unacceptable. But I understand your feeling, Graham. I really do. Okay. So we've been talking about the international bit. I think I've made myself very clear on where I stand about this. And this is one of the major things that are affecting us all. I mean, some people want to talk about the Ukraine. Come on, the Ukraine's over. We already know what's going to happen there. Yes, we're going to throw another couple 10, 20 million, $100 million, billion, a couple more billion, hundreds of billions on this, but Ukraine is losing. Eventually, they're going to give up. They're going to make concessions. They're going to give Russia at least the land that it wants. It's going to happen. It's not even a question. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when and how much money we spent. And America will get nothing back from it. That's Ukraine in a nutshell. But let's talk about something else. Let's talk about Trump. Let's talk about the consequences of the Trump lawsuit. Let's talk about the consequences of the Trump New York lawsuit. Hang on. Graham says, when I said not my problem about the Palestinian refugees or anyone else is not an acceptable possible response. Actually, it is. It may not be nice. It may not be friendly. But the fact that the Hamas, how can I say this? The Palestinian refugees are a consequence of the Palestinians' choices of government, of their support of their government, of their support of genocide. This is a direct consequence of that. And it's not my fault that their choice to support genocide, to support abusing women, to support killing children, because of their support of that, which is both implicit and explicit, because they join Hamas and they do not stop Hamas. That is not my fault, nor my obligation to take care of. That's their problem. And in fact, I would isolate it, because I think that's your problem. You made that choice. You now live with that consequence. I am not obligated to fix the problem for you. It isn't a nice thing. Then again, what they're doing isn't nice either. So let's be honest about it. It's their problem. Deal with it. Don't ask me for a solution, especially when you have my people being held hostage and tortured for your situation. Don't ask me for pity when you're torturing my people. Graham says, we cannot claim to be world leaders while also callously disregarding the plights of the suffering of the downtrodden. There will always be downtrodden. You will drown in the tears of the sad. And Graham, you know, and people who don't know, Graham is often commenting on the channel, and I'm perfectly happy with that. And I'm not attacking you, Graham, but I'm making it clear. You can't save everyone. It's just not possible. That's a wonderful fantasy. It's a wonderful ideal. It's not reality. We can't do it. We have to pick and choose. We can only save so many. That's just a fact. That's just a reality. That is just the scope of the reach of America or any human being. That's realistic. It's unpleasant. It's not fun. It doesn't make people feel warm and fuzzy inside. Okay, but this is politics. This isn't about some game show or some TV show on TV. It's reality. And you know what? It is not callous to say, I can't save everyone. The United States government can't save everyone. And we shouldn't. It's not our job. It's not our place. Save themselves. Start there. Get rid of Hamas. Then come and ask me for help. Return our hostages. Then ask me for some help. Reject genocide. And then ask me for some help. They're not my priority. They shouldn't be our priority. We have other priorities. We have Americans who are homeless. We have, depending on your beliefs, climate change. We have energy. We have our infrastructure. We have our legal system. We have plenty of problems to deal with on our own. I don't need their problems. Is that nice? Probably not. Politics doesn't depend on being nice. Being nice has nothing to do with politics or being effective at politics. And I think that's part of the thing. Too many people want to be nice, want to feel good about every decision that's made. You can't. And they want to save everyone. You can't. It would be great. It would be wonderful in the world if we could. We can't. So let's not pretend otherwise. I'm just very blunt and direct about it. I'm very honest about it. Probably one of the reasons why I lost my elections. I'm blunt and honest about the truth. You want to save everyone? Fantastic. You can't. I wish we could. And there are some people, not my priority to save. And people who support terrorism and genocide, way down on the bottom of my list. And that happens to be Palestine, the Hezbollah, that happens to be Houthis, that's Yemen, that's Jordan, that's Syria, that's Gaza. They're on the bottom of my list. Same thing with Iran. Graham believes that we are not living up to the honor given to us by our founding fathers. Our founding fathers did not create America to be the beacon, to go to other nations. They weren't there to colonize other nations or to expand the influence of America into other nations. They didn't care about the rest of the world. Our founding fathers, our Constitution is about us. It is about us being free. It is about us taking care of our nation. We have no obligation to any other country in the world. None. Nor does any country in the world have an obligation to us. Let's be honest about that. Other than treaties, there is no obligation. We don't have a burden to introduce democracy or freedom to any other country in the world. We choose to do so because it has been immensely, incredibly positive and beneficial to the United States and the rest of the world. So we choose to do that. It is to our benefit to do that because we morally feel good about doing that. We don't have that. That's not an obligation. There is no obligation to do this. We do it because we're good people. Same reason why the United States, the people of the United States, they give more in charity than nations do. That's a fact. The private donations to feed people around the world and help them build their infrastructure from the United States is more than most nations are able to do combined. It's not that we aren't giving. It's not that we aren't charitable. We are. We're one of the best in the world at it. In fact, we are the best in the world at it. But it's not an obligation. It's a choice. So we're not obligated by our Constitution to save Hamas or save the Palestinian people. We're not. We choose to do that, and the fact is, based on their ideology, based on their actions, based on their conflict with our lifestyle, they're on the bottom of my list of priorities. And I think they should be on the bottom of everyone's list of priorities. Because they're antithetical to what is beneficial to us and the rest of the world. You may not agree. And I respect we can have that difference of opinion. But the burden on changing that lies with the people of the Palestinian people, the people in Gaza, the people holding our American citizens hostage and torturing them. It's on them. They have the burden to change. They have the burden to show us that they're making an effort. It's kind of like an addict. I have no sympathy for addicts at all, period. Zero sympathy for someone who is an addict. I have immense sympathy and empathy for people who are trying to recover, for people who are trying to quit drugs. I have helped people out of my own personal pocket at much detriment to me as a person many times throughout my life. I have no problem helping people who are honestly, actively trying to repent, to change their lives, to improve their life, to get off of drugs. Fantastic. I'm there. I have helped people. I will do it over and over again. But I'm not going to help someone who's an addict. There's a difference. There's a massive difference. Same thing applies to the Middle East. You want us to help you? Fantastic. Get rid of genocide. Take that off the table. Stop being genocidal maniacs. Start there. Then ask me for help. You want a better priority? Release the hostages safely. Release them all right now, today, safely. Then talk to me about humanitarian aid. But, that's me. I have a strong feeling about it. Not everyone will agree. And I'm not telling you that and let me also say, I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm saying this is where I stand. This is my line in the sand. This is what I believe. This is the reason why I believe it. See, here's the difference between me and MSNBC and Joy Reid and Rachel Maddow. I'm not just going to tell you, think this way. That's what they do. They tell you, this is what you should believe. This is what Harvard does in the colleges. Think this way. Have this feeling. This is the feeling you're going to have about this subject. Oh my God, Israel must be the bad guy because my professor in college told me they are. I'm sorry, that's not a reason. I'm telling you what my reasons are, and I'm telling you what my solution is. I'm telling you my parameters, my guidelines, my boundaries, my reasoning, why those exist. Now you can say, Mike, I don't agree with that. Okay, I can respect that. You can say, I have different boundaries, I have different guidelines, I have different parameters. Fantastic. Tell me what they are, tell me why, and you know what, maybe I will change, maybe you will change. That's fine, we can have that discussion. But just saying, oh, but you just have to obey. You just have to accept that Hamas, they're the good guys. Why? Because they're small. Because there's less members of Hamas than there are the IDF of Israel. I'm sorry, that's a stupid reason. Oh, but we have to help them because they're losing the fight they started. They started this war. And they knew it. They knew the second that they started beheading children. They knew the second that they started grabbing people from every country around the world and taking them as hostages and sexually abusing and torturing them, they knew they were in a war and they knew they could never win. They did it anyway. mean, we got to keep it in perspective here. Or at least that's the perspective that I see it in. Now, again, I'm not telling you what to think. I'm telling you why I think the way I do. And I'm showing you the evidence of why I believe that. These are the conclusions I come to based on the evidence that we have been seeing for years. And you can go back and look at, and I recommend to people, look at the videos that we have done for years, for decades. You can see there is a consistency here in my reasoning and why. You may not agree with it, but I'm at least being honest and consistent with you. Joy Reid, Rachel Maddow, Morning Joe, they're not. They're telling you whatever gets them paid and also protects their political ideology. Joe Biden has lied to your face. Kamala Harris has lied to your face. That's not a guess. That's not political ideology. That is empirical fact. We have shown you. It has been confirmed by international news agencies around the world, left-leaning as well as anyone else, have confirmed it. They just didn't say, and he lied. They said, oh, well, he changed his opinion. He flip-flopped on the issue. He's not quite clear where he stands. No, he lied. Lied to your face. At least I'm consistent. You may not love it all the time. You may disagree with me, and that's fine. Vehemently, passionately tell me why you think I am wrong. I'm glad to hear it. But at least you're getting an honest answer. I hope people can appreciate that. Okay, so let me also go on to, I wanted to go on to Trump. And I mentioned I was going to go on to Trump and the lawsuit in New York. Because I think everyone knows that President Trump, there it is. Sorry, I'm also on Rumble as well. So President Trump was sued by New York State. What a joy. Where is it? Come on. So President Trump got sued by New York State. Letitia James, a progressive with a progressive agenda, who lost, she's still mad because she lost the governorship. She was running for governor against Kathy Hochul, and she lost because as much as New York is Democratic, they're not full-blown Democratic Socialists of America. Just not, at least not yet. And so she lost. And so her claim to fame, her card, her ability, she's going to run again in 2026. She's going to run for governor again. So Letitia James needed something. She didn't convict Andrew Cuomo when she could have on sexual abuse charges. She could have gone after Andrew Cuomo because he killed 16,000 Americans and then covered it up. She could have gone after Andrew Cuomo because of corruption, which included Kathy Hochul. She was involved in it too. She didn't do that. She dropped all of those cases. That's why Letitia James lost her bid for New York governor. But she has another chance in 2026. She needs something to point to. She needs a high-profile case to point to and say, see, that's the bad guy. I got that bad person and I punished them. That's Donald Trump. He's the punching bag for the left. Every ill in the universe, every bad thing that has ever happened is somehow connected to Donald Trump. He is Orange Man bad number one, and they're all after him. And it doesn't matter that they have nothing. They have no proof. They have no crime. They can't point to a crime. They can't show you victims. They don't exist. Now, I know someone's going to say, but Mike, he's been charged all over the place. He's got dozens of charges. Yeah, charges aren't convictions. An accusation is not guilt, especially in America. You are presumed innocent. Nancy Pelosi lied to you. She said, oh, he has to prove himself innocent. No, he doesn't. No one in America needs to prove themselves innocent. I don't care how much you don't like that person, they're still innocent. You have to prove them guilty. Point blank. You have to provide the evidence, the proof, the motivation. You have to get 12 of your peers to say guilty, to sentence someone for a crime. Accusation does not equal guilt. But we have, again, as we were talking about it earlier, we've gotten to this McCarthy mindset that because a bunch of politicians, a bunch of influential elites have decided, well, you're guilty, then they must be guilty. Because they're influential, they're elected, they're popular, so they must be right. No, that isn't how it works. That doesn't make you guilty. Just because Kathy Hochul doesn't like Trump, because Letitia James doesn't like Trump, doesn't make Trump guilty. That's just reality. And when we're talking about this lawsuit, and we're looking at this lawsuit, they didn't even understand what they were doing. See, Trump, at the end of the day, and I was talking about this on the Liberty First Foundation. Do I have that? Let me bring this up for you guys. The Liberty First Foundation on Friday night. Let me see if I got it here. I want to show you guys this. Oh, wait a minute. I know how to do it. Essentially, we were talking on the Liberty First Foundation on Friday, and we were having a conversation about Trump's lawsuit. And the first thing that you'll find that is very interesting about Trump and his lawsuit is that there's no victim. There is no crime. Now, I know a couple of people will say, well, Mike, what do you mean? There's no crime. Who's the victim? I want you to think about this, not the way that the news media wants you to think about it, because they don't want you to think about it. They want you to feel, orange man bad, he must be guilty. Trump must be guilty. Who's the victim? What happened here? In the entire Trump lawsuit, and you can see this, where was it? There it is. So this is the Friday live stream. We were talking about this in depth. And we were going through this entire trial with Trump. And it's very correct that at no point, no one lost money. See, Trump went to a bank. He told the bank, I have X number of assets. Give me a loan. The bank looked at his assets, confirmed that he had the assets, gave him the loan. He used the loan, he made a profit, he paid off the loan ahead of time, he paid New York State taxes on the loan, he went on with his business. Nobody got hurt. New York State got the taxes, they got business, the banks got their loan back plus their interest. Trump got to get the loan, open the business, and make a profit. Who was a victim? Where was the victim? There's no victim in this crime. It is a victimless crime. Libertarians should be screaming at the top of their lungs about this because they're constantly about victimless crimes. This is a victimless crime. No one lost anything. No one lost anything. Trump getting the loan did not make or stop anyone else from getting a loan of any business opening or closing. It did not affect anything in the universe. It was just about him. And New York State has decided under their vision, their version, that, oh, you know what? Trump isn't worth as much money as he said he was. That's an opinion. That changes day by day. The stock market goes up and down. The value of property goes up and down. On any given day, you're worth more or less. But what everyone has consistently said is New York State's out of their mind. The value that New York State has claimed Trump is worth isn't what everyone else claims he's worth. The banks don't value the Trump assets the same way New York State did. But see, New York State has an agenda. New York State has a goal. They want Trump to be guilty. They want him to commit a crime so that they can punish him. So they will lowball, beyond lowball, insanely assume that Trump isn't worth as much money as he is. So therefore he fraud. He lied because he said he's worth X money. Well, wait a minute. Every bank in New York State and across the country, they have federal and state requirements about who they give money to. They have to fill out the forms. They have to show the IRS and the federal government and the state government, oh, they gave this loan because of these assets, and here are the assets. That's why they make you do that. That's why when you get a bank loan, a mortgage, you have to show your assets. They have to list all of that to justify giving you a loan for X amount of dollars. You have how many stocks and bonds, how much do you make, how much debt do you have, how much cash do you have in hand. They go through that. Same thing for Trump, same thing for you. Oh, Trump got more. He has more assets than you do. Sorry, he's got more. And the bank listed all that, showed its value, and said because of those assets, that value, they gave him a loan. You didn't get that loan. You don't have those assets. So of course you didn't. No one got hurt, and no one broke the law. You notice, New York State didn't go after the banks and say, hey, wait a minute. You know what? You gave him this loan. You fraudulent. If Trump is committing a fraud by saying, I have these assets, and the bank said, yes, you do have those assets, let's make it easy with the numbers. If Trump said, I have $100 billion. And the bank said, yes, you do. And here's all the things, and they add up to $100 billion. We'll give you a loan. So if Trump lied, the bank that had to record and document every single one of his assets and the value of those assets, they committed fraud too. They had to lie to the IRS, they had to lie to the federal government, they had to lie to New York State. So Trump, if he's guilty, if he committed a fraud, so did the bank. But New York State didn't go after the banks. They went after Trump. Why? Because they're not angry at the banks. They're angry at Trump. They don't like Trump. Orange man bad. But if he's guilty, the bank is guilty. And if they're trying to protect someone from a crime that has no victim, they'd go after the bank too. Because the bank made it happen. Trump can walk around and say he is a trillionaire. He can run up and down and say he has more money than God has ever printed in his life. He can say that. And it means nothing. You can say anything. When the bank said, I'm going to give you a loan because of that, because you have these assets, they vindicated, they verified, they proved him true. They gave him the money. So, from boasting to fraud, there's a wide difference there. But they're not going after the banks, which tells you this is political. Letitia James needs a target for 2026. She can't use Andrew Cuomo. She already let him off the hook. She can't go after Kathy Hochul. There's nothing really there. Kathy Hochul is a complete failure. Everyone knows it. There's nothing new there. She needs something special. She needs something that will make Democrats and progressives go, oh, you're our hero. You should be our governor. Nothing says that more than I fought against Orange Man bad and I got a conviction. Except there's no crime. He didn't commit a crime. There is no victim. And they're only going after Trump if it is a crime. Then why are you not going after the people who made it a crime? The bank. The bank that gave Trump the money. I've already spent, in discussing this with you so far, I've already spent more time and made it more clear how this is political than CNN, MSNBC, and CBS News all combined. They didn't bother to tell you, hey, there is no victim to this crime. They didn't bother to tell you that Trump paid off the loans. that New York State got paid taxes on those loans, that everyone made a profit. No one in the news media is saying, hey, it's only a crime because the bank did give him the loan. The bank verified his account. He said, I'm worth $100 billion. The bank said, yes, and here's a loan. The bank is the root of the... If there's a crime, the bank is the root of the crime because they verified it. They gave the loan. Trump didn't do anything wrong. He got the loan. He asked for a loan. He got the loan. He paid off the loan. He paid taxes on the loan. Trump didn't do anything wrong. The bank did. If anyone did anything wrong, it's the bank. But see, New York State isn't looking at it that way. They're so busy, the progressives are so busy trying to dance around this and keep you occupied that they want you to think, see, this is a crime. No, there's no crime. Oh, and Orange Man Bad is guilty. No, he's really not. And he's not as powerful, he's not as good at business as he says he is, according to the way you count. Remember, government math has nothing to do with real math. Anyone who has ever dealt with the United States government, who gets food stamps, you get any kind of financial aid from the government, math is not their strong suit. No one understands government math. Under government math, 2 plus 2 is 125,000. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't matter. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to drive you crazy because they have, government math says that under Joe Biden, he suddenly created 14 million jobs. He didn't. He created 4 million. 12 million people went back to work. 12 million people went back to the job they already had, doing the same thing in the same place as they always have. And he's like, oh, I created those jobs. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. But it's government math, so it counts. It's 14 million. See, huh? Because they lie to you. So I'm trying to make sure it's clear that this is victimless. And if there's someone at fault, it would be the bank that gave the loan, not Trump. If we're being honest, if we're going to be fair, if we're looking at this from a judicial system that isn't biased. Because Orange Man Bad, you can hate Trump all you want, if that's what you want to do. But that doesn't mean, that doesn't make him guilty of a crime. Especially when there's no victim in the crime. Especially when he didn't do anything except say, here's my assets, here's a loan I want. That's not his fault. They said yes. That's not his fault. But let's go further. Let's think about this. Let's think of it this way. When New York State made the decision and they said, oh, New York State can make up the numbers of what they think you are worth. New York State can make up the decision about whether or not you're lying, whether or not you commit fraud. That they can punish you even though there is no victim to the crime. That they will punish you even though you're innocent. There isn't a business in New York State that isn't terrified right now. And Kathy Hochul is busy trying to convince every single business in New York State that they are able to do business. Because based on this decision with Trump at this moment, they have set a precedent. There is no business in New York State that cannot be convicted of the same thing that Trump was. No business. Every bank, every small business, every big business, every business, they can go and say, you're not worth as much as you're worth. You got a loan. You're guilty of fraud. We're going to fine you $1 bazillion. They can do that to any business if they want to. But no one got hurt. No, we've been doing business for 100 years. You've been lying to people for 100 years. That's what New York State can say. They have set a precedent that if New York State does not agree with your politics, your political position, if they do not like what your business does, you can be punished. That's the precedent they have set. That should terrify people. That should scare and terrify people. That's not good. Does this make sense? I mean, I don't know if everyone understands. It's not as straightforward as some in the media would like to make it seem like. But does it make sense? Do you understand why this is a big deal? How this is going to impact? Every business has to be terrified that if they have one bad tweet, just one, if there's one bad tweet, New York State could shut down your business. Just one of your employees could say something on Facebook or on YouTube or on Twitter, just one thing, and your business could go out of business. New York State could come right after you. Letitia James could say, "Oh, you're Orange Man Bad Jr.," and come after you too. Does that sound like that's going to help? And by the way, we already know New York State has more than enough problems in terms of business friendliness. One of the least business friendly states in the country. We get an F. We are horrible with business and have been under the Cuomo administration and under the Hochul administration. So this should surprise no one that they got this wrong too, because they don't care about business, they care about the politics. It's just like the Biden administration. They're after the politics. They don't care about the business. They don't care about you or your business. They care about your politics. They care about your vote. They care about how you're donating your money. I mean, and if you think by the way, this is from CNBC. So if you're thinking, Mike, well, that's just right-leaning, oh my God, New York State's doing fantastic. Not according to CNBC. They're not. CNBC says New York State is absolutely abysmal failure at business friendliness. But they're not the only ones. Business News Daily, yet another poll. Where do we have here? The worst states, New York State. Worst city, New York City. Over and over again. And there's plenty of polls. You can go after poll after poll. There's study after study that will tell you the same thing. New York State is absolutely miserable in terms of its business friendliness because of doing things like they just did to Trump. Orange Man bad equals guilt equals penalty. Well, any business can be replaced, can be substituted for Orange Man bad. Any of them. Small business, mid-sized, large business, they're all susceptible. They've all got a tweet. You will eventually find a tweet for every business out there. There's a tweet that says something that isn't currently positive, that isn't going to be looked at nicely. We've seen it happen to people on the left. Even the people on the left hate people on the left. That tweets and quotes from people they used to think of as heroes are people that they despise now. Alyssa Milano had this happen to her. They will always turn on their own. There is no safe, protected business out there. They are all subject to becoming Orange Man bad, which means they are all subject to being accused of being guilty and therefore being punished without a crime actually happening, without a victim to the crime. Graham says, Michael, yeah, your commentary on Trump versus the corrupt administration is clear. Okay. Now, I don't know if everyone agrees with it, though, but I think it's very clear. And I know that truckers right now, and there's many of them, they're coming out and they're saying, hey, they're just not going to deliver to New York. This is another consequence. This is another consequence of this very same action. A lot of people are talking about it. This is breaking news almost. That a bunch of people are saying, hey, it's not worth doing business in New York. It's just not worth it. There's too much risk. There's no upside. There's no benefit. Unless you happen to be a union who gets all the benefits. You donate to the progressives, and the progressives give you, make sure people join unions. It's a circle, a spiral. They feed you the money, the politician the money, the politician feeds them beneficial laws. Unions love New York State. Businesses don't. Politicians love New York. If you're blue, if you're a Democrat, if you're a progressive, you love New York State. In particular, you love New York City and Rochester and Albany and Syracuse. You love the main population centers where Democrats have control. The rest of you, upstate New York, they're all red. The rest of upstate New York is conservative. That's a fact. It's not a question. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. You step outside of Albany and you're in upstate New York, you're in conservative country. You walk outside of New York City, going upstate, you're in conservative country. You go to Dutchess County, you go to Tompkins, you go to Oneida, Oswego, you're in conservative country. Cortland. So I want you to understand, I'm trying to make sure this is clear, because this is not going to help. If every business now has to double check and say maybe they need to move away from New York State, that's not going to help business in New York State. It means New York State will go into greater and greater debt. They already have to say, gee, do I want to have my business here where illegal aliens can rob my business every day and not get arrested, not get deported? They will attack my customers as well as my employees every day. Do I really want to do business there? Oh, they have some of the highest taxes in the entire country. Do I want to do business there? Oh, and if by chance their attorney general or the governor or any of the politicians or any of the political organizations don't think I am far left enough, they can now punish me. They can go and take me to court and say, oh, you're a liar, you're a cheat. There is no crime. You've been paying your employees every day, always on time. You've paid everyone. You've paid your taxes. You've done everything, but we don't like you. So you are guilty, and they will bankrupt your business. Do you want to do business in that state? With all of those things happening, do you want to do business there? See, this is what happens when governments become more and more authoritarian. When they walk down this path of McCarthyism and they keep going and keep going, look at what we get. Someone says, they accuse you of being guilty, doesn't matter if it's true, you get punished, and they reinforce this cycle over and over again. This is authoritarianism. This is how you create a dictatorship. This is evil. And it's coming from the left. It's coming from progressive. And they're dressing it up and saying, but see, it's Orange Man bad. Yeah, but if you could do it to Orange Man bad, I'm not a billionaire. You could do it to me. And you could do it to me easier than Orange Man bad. You can do it to my business easier than Orange Man bad. I don't have billions. I don't have hundreds of millions to fight New York State in court. Can't afford to do it. It's just cheaper and easier for me to take my business and go into another state. It just makes more sense. Oh, but you're a bad guy if you do that. See, you ran away, so you must be guilty. So let's attack your business anyway. Do you see how this is wicked and terrible? No wonder truckers don't want to come into New York. They're going to lose their trucks. It's like trying to be a trucker in Canada, where, Trudeau. Remember that? The truckers were protesting Trudeau. He took all their money. He tried to take their trucks. All of it was illegal. He said, no, but I'm a progressive. I want to be a socialist. It's okay. No, it's not. It only took it took a year, but the proof is, no, absolutely abused his power. Absolutely illegal. The truckers were the good guys. Well, here the truckers are again. And they're telling you. Truckers are paying attention. They're saying, hey, New York State's got a problem. These people are wrong. And if they can do it to Trump, they can do it to you. And they will do it to you if they haven't already been doing it to you for no reason. Because they don't like you. Because they have a feeling. And feelings change every day, every time. Give me 5 minutes, you'll change your feeling. This is dangerous. This is dangerous to America. I truly believe it is. I believe it is absolutely dangerous to America. And that's something that I said on the Friday live stream. I was saying it during the Friday live stream. I'm saying it now. And I don't see how anyone can come up with a different solution or a different understanding than that. Am I wrong? Does anyone think I'm wrong about that? If anyone who says, but Orange Man bad. Okay, what's the crime? He committed fraud. Well, only if you believe that New York was counting correctly, which no bank, no business, nobody agrees with. No one says that New York State is right. None of the numbers that the judge and New York State was coming up with Letitia James, no one agrees with it. They're all wrong. Everyone says, every business, even the left-leaning ones say, nope, that's wrong. Those are the wrong numbers. It's not real. So, where's the crime? Who's the victim? Who got hurt? Trump. That's who got hurt. Orange Man Bad got hurt. He's the only one. Which makes this political. Which means you're not talking about punishing him for breaking the law. You're punishing him for politics. Because he's not your political preference. It seems simple enough. For anyone who isn't into the TDS, the Trump derangement syndrome, anyone who doesn't look at the world and say, Orange Man Bad is responsible for everything. Not saying that he's perfect, but he's not responsible for everything. He's not the cause of the problems of the world. And for the people who think he is, the more progressive you become, the more you get sold on this idea, this emotion, they never stop to think about it and say, but wait, none of this makes sense. And the very same things that they're cheering are the very same things that will take away their freedom tomorrow. Yes, today they're, hey, Trump, Orange Man Bad, he took a beating. Okay, yeah, what about you tomorrow? What about your business tomorrow? I don't know. Maybe it's me. Dow says, he's already seen calls for evacuation of New York by businesses, supply run refusals across New York borders, boycotts of New York services and goods, boycotts for non-New York services and goods. It means for those of us left, we'll need to live without or make our own to ride out the desert that is coming, this consumer desert, while applying pressure to financially reform the government. We're not going to reform New York State's government. Not going to happen. You're not going to reform California's government. You're not going to reform Illinois government. You're not going to fix Massachusetts. Not going to happen. They are progressive beyond progressive. They have made their decision. They will print money as long as the printers will be running. As long as they can make those printers move, they will print more and more money. They will just keep pushing the free stuff, and they will push all of the consequences as far down the line as they can to maintain power. You will not see them get saved. They will fold. They're going to blow up, implode, rather than get fixed. Let's be honest. Now, if you live in a stronghold that is progressive, your state is a progressive stronghold, it's going to get worse, it's going to fall apart, and it's going to implode. It's never going to get fixed. And none of the policies offered by progressives have ever worked. They do not benefit the majority. They always fail every single time. You're just betting it's not going to happen while you're there. Odds are it probably will. But I see that. We're already seeing this. It's already across social media. The reaction is already starting to happen because this isn't about justice. This is about politics. It's the same reason why Google is now trying to suppress anything that isn't their high quality information, as Google said. The approved message. This is part of the fortification. Fortification is to protect what you want, you deny everything else. You suppress everything else. You hurt everything else. This is the fortification of the 2024 election. This is how they force you to do what they want. Because, your business, you voted for Trump in 2024. You said it in a tweet. Oh, well, Letitia James may need to look at your business loans. She may need to look at your numbers. She's going to revision your numbers of your business. Your assets are going to be recalculated, not for purposes of taxes, by the way. No, you're still going to pay the same property taxes at the higher value, but for the purpose of punishing you, she's going to say, oh, well, you overestimated. You're not getting a tax refund. You're going to get punished. You're going to get a penalty. By the way, you're paying taxes on the assessment. You were assessed $100 million. Guess what? That's not going down. It's evil. It's evil. I know, it's numbers, it's math. People don't like talking about it. They don't necessarily see the response right away. But you will see it. And the response is, we're going to lose businesses. Business after business. And that means you as a consumer, you lose choice, and everything will cost more money. This is going to be inflationary to you. Because every business now has to build a backup office. They have to build up a backup business outside of New York. They have to put extra money away to protect themselves from New York. They have to pass on all of these costs, all the protections, all the backup that they now have to do is coming out of your pocket. Which is why we are seeing that Kathy Hochul is trying to assuage the fears of all the businesses throughout New York. She's trying to, we went after Orange Man Bad. You're not Orange Man Bad. We wouldn't do that to you. Yes, we made this up. Yes, it's a complete farce. Yes, it is an abuse of power. We wouldn't do that to you, though. You're not Orange Man Bad, are you? You're not MAGA, are you? You're not a Republican or conservative. You're not clinging to your gods and your gun, are you? Because then, maybe they will go after you. It's kind of scary. Really is. All right. Wow. 2 hours and 15 minutes. We're doing all right today. All right. So let's switch over to another conversation. And I know this live stream is being suppressed to hell. I started off talking about all the topics they don't want to have you think about in 2024. This is going to be suppressed to hell. Oh well. Please do like, share, confirm. It doesn't matter if you agree. I have not asked you once to agree. I have not asked you once to become a conservative or Republican. That's not what we do here. That's not my job. I'm asking you to think about the conclusions that I am making. I'm showing you the evidence, and the links will be in the description after the show. I'm asking you to look at the information, make up your own mind, to think about it, to look at the information, and not just accept the headline that they are shoving down your throat. To ask to get more information than just 30 seconds of news coverage because they don't want you to think about it or to understand how it's going to affect your life. And I'm asking you to contact your politicians to hold them accountable and say, hey, you can do better because this is going the wrong way. But that being said, Biden is still dealing with the fact that he is mentally impaired, at least as many people believe. That he has a problem. He has a big problem with his mind. And we still see the White House, Democrats, are trying to juggle this thing. I just can't understand. On the one hand, Biden is a brilliant, strong leader who's got a sharp mind, and this is why he can take on Putin, he can take on Iran, he can take on Chairman Xi of China. He is brilliant, and we need him in our leadership. And then on the other hand, but he's forgetful and old, and he's so senile that he cannot be accountable for his crimes that he's committed. He's committed a crime. There's no question on it. He was guilty of having classified documents. No question. But he's too old and feeble-minded to be held accountable for that crime. But he's not feeble, but he's only feeble-minded when it comes to him remembering stuff. But trying to deal with Russia and China and Iran, well, no, then he's brilliant. How can you do this? How can you? Do they really think? I really wonder. Do they think the American people are just that stupid? That the Democrats are just that willing to just vote straight down the line, that they're just going to say, yeah, Joe Biden's only feeble-minded when he needs to be. He's brilliant every other time. Joe Biden is brilliant unless he's got a charge against him. Unless it's about holding on to classified documents, which is a crime for 4 decades. Then he's just not smart. It's like a switch. And Joe Biden turns on and off the switch when he needs to. So he's brilliant when he needs to be, but he's feeble-minded the rest of the time. And I don't understand this. How do progressives, how do Democrats, how do you guys compartmentalize this? How do you look at the world and look at Joe Biden and go, he's dim-witted and he's old and doddering, so you can't charge him with a crime. But he's still brilliant, and therefore we need him to get reelected. How do you think like that? I don't get it. It does not make sense to me. And I understand this is the moment. Kamala has been trying for 3 years to replace Joe Biden. And I came out and said, I told you immediately in 2020, I thought Kamala was going to be, I thought she was going to be on the 2024 ticket. I thought she would have taken over by now. I thought that Democrats would have pulled the trigger with the 25th Amendment, because we knew in 2018, we knew Joe Biden was out of his mind. We already knew by then. But nope, they decided to stretch it out, see what would happen. And here we are with Kamala Harris, and she's begging, get rid of Joe, give me the chance. And everyone's going, no. Democrats don't like her. Progressives don't like her. The world leaders don't like her. She is the least effective politician possibly in my entire lifetime. And I've been around since Carter, okay? And Kamala Harris is worse than everyone I can possibly think of. I would even say Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is more effective than Kamala Harris. And that tells you something, because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez thinks that you can take a train from New York to Hawaii over the Pacific Ocean. That's a special kind of stupid there. And Kamala Harris is worse than AOC. I don't get it. In the comments, please, if you're a progressive, if you're a conservative, if you're a progressive, if you're a Democrat, if you're going to vote for Joe Biden, please explain to me, how do you think he's brilliant 1 minute and feeble-minded the next? How do you explain that? How do you work that out in your mind? How do you justify that? Because I don't get it. I don't get it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And then there's, of course, finally, the final thing I wanted to cover today, because again, I had to rebuild the computers, rebuild everything. So there's one final thing I wanted to cover today, and that is I have a simple question. Okay? And I'm going to type it out here. Hang on. Give me 1 second. Almost there, folks. So here's a really simple question that I have yet to see anyone respond to. I have yet to see any politician. All these politicians. Stop. All these politicians. That's my puppy there, folks. So all these politicians are saying we need more gun control again. I mean, they always do. They're constantly saying, we need more gun control. We need more gun control. There's always more gun control. You've got to have gun control. Okay, so they're saying you need more gun control, more gun control. Here's the answer. What gun control would have stopped the Kansas City parade shooting? What? Red flag laws? Didn't happen. They already had that. What they've already been implementing. They have hundreds of gun control laws on the books in Kansas City, in Missouri. None of them stop them. It is illegal in Kansas City, in Missouri. It is illegal. This is coming from the Kansas City Star, February 18th, today. And they point out it is illegal. Federal law does not allow minors to carry a firearm. The people who shot, the teenagers who shot up the Kansas City parade are minors. They're under 17. So by federal law, they couldn't have those firearms. And yet they did. And yet they shot up the place. And I am still saying this is gang related. I'm still saying this is probably about drugs. But what law would have stopped them? Oh, but Mike, if we pass another law, they'll follow the law this time. Because they didn't follow the law. They already broke the law. They were already breaking the law. Illegal guns that they were not allowed to be able to carry. And they did. And they fired them indiscriminately to kill someone. You know how many laws we're talking about them breaking over and over again? And you're telling me that if we pass one more law, that'll end all the gun crime. Really? Where has that worked? Name one city, one state. Name the law anywhere. None of them have worked. Not gun bans, not red flag laws, not the New York Safe Act. There isn't any of these laws. We have 22,000 gun laws in the United States. Let me say it again. 22,000 gun laws in the United States. And we're adding at least 100 per year. At least. And it isn't stopping the problem because the criminals don't care. The root of the problem isn't that we don't have enough laws. It's not that we don't have specific enough laws. It's that we have a different problem. Gangs, drugs, mental health. Those are your three big issues right there. If you resolve those big three issues, you resolve most of it. Kansas City isn't about gun control. And anyone who tells you, well, all we need to do is pass another gun law is lying to your face. They don't care about you. They don't care about the guns. They don't care about gun crimes. They care about politics. They care about power. And they're using you. They're emotionally manipulating you. Anyone who tells you that one more gun law is going to make the difference, that you're going to be safe with one more gun law, is a liar, and they are manipulating you. I've said this before for years. It hasn't changed. I wasn't wrong. This is a manipulation. This is abusive. Let's see. Give me a second. Yes. Graham says that my puppy, Khan, my dog, does not like gun control. No, he does not. Dow says, there is no law that they could pass that would have prevented the Kansas City parade shooting. Just doesn't exist. This is the issue, and we should try going the other way and making repeals so citizens and law enforcement will be encouraged to work together. Graham says, yeah, the Kansas City shooting seems like a gang territorial dispute. I am absolutely sure it is. I am absolutely 1,000% sure that's exactly what it is. But that's my belief. And again, different category. Doesn't matter. They are going to ride this emotionally. Fear. You're afraid. 2024, fortify the election. You're afraid of guns, aren't you? You're afraid of the people who own guns, aren't you? We need one more law. Those Republicans, those libertarians, those conservatives, they're not going to do it. They're not going to pass one more law, because this next law that punishes law-abiding gun owners, that affects your Second Amendment right to own a firearm, this law is somehow going to stop that criminal the next time. It's going to be like a bulletproof vest, although it's not a bulletproof vest, because bulletproof vests are illegal. They're criminal. You can't passively protect yourself, so don't even try and do that. But it would be like a bulletproof vest, except it's a democratic law, and that will protect you, and you'll bask in the warmth of the safety that that's going to provide. Meanwhile, in every single instance, in every single state, in every single city, that never comes true. They have been saying that for 50 years. 50 years. They have half a century. Democrats have promised you that one more law will make you safe. And it never does. And they get reelected, they get donations, they get rich, manipulating you. And they're doing it again for 2024. This will not be the last time that you're going to hear, oh my God, there are 3,000 billion gun, mass shootings. There have been 3 billion mass shootings in America in 2024. You need to vote for Joe Biden. They're making it up, folks. They keep saying, oh, but there's been so many mass shootings. There's like 50 mass shootings in America, and we're only in February. No, there hasn't been. Have there been gangs standing on a school football field on a Sunday at midnight, and that they had a shootout over drugs? Yes, that's happened. That's not a mass shooting. That's not a school shooting. There's a big difference. Except when you need to scare people to vote a certain way. Then it's all the same thing. I don't know. Maybe it's me. And I know that all of these subjects are being suppressed. I know Google, I've seen the numbers that they keep shrinking. It's like people are typing. I'm seeing Dal and Graham type in, even though YouTube and Facebook are telling me, YouTube, Facebook, and Google are telling me that there's no one there. That's a lie. And I know there's many more people on Rumble who are watching this and will watch it afterwards. Thank you to each and every one of you. They're going to suppress the hell out of this, folks. You can fight that. Like, share, subscribe. That's all I ask for. That's it. Like, share, subscribe. If we can make it through this week, where I have to reboot my entire computer and I'm doing this by scratch, you can make it through this episode, which isn't perfect, everything gets so much better. Like, share, subscribe. Come back next week. You'll see we're going to have everything improved. We got more screens coming. It's going to get better. Stick with us. All right? So, we've been on for 2.5 hours. It's a cold Sunday, and I got to take my puppy out to walk. I'm not coming back. Let's just go with that. 2.5 hours. It's a short one this week. Please Take the extra time to hang out with your friends, your family. Do not see Madam Web. Do not go to Disney Plus. Go and do something entirely different. I don't know. Watch some grass grow. Watch the snow melt. Call your mom. Something. But save yourself the horrors. See, I mentioned Madam Web already. Just the pain of the name of that movie is driving my dog nuts. Don't worry, folks. We'll talk to you again soon. See you.